What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the legendary Torture God's career mode. And after 3 fights in a row that he's been brutally just tortured. I mean, after what was it? The first one was Kabalov, then then Ali Quinta, and then Diego Sanchez. So he's taken 3 really bad, just torturous beatings in a row, and it's time for him to go against arguably the most devastating fighter to ever grace the octagon. Because yeah, you might be able to make it a long, drawn-out fight, but every time you step in the octagon with this guy, you know for a fact your face is going to be completely ruined by the time you get out of there. So Torture God, of course, judging by his face, I don't think he's too worried about that, but he does have to step up his game. He's changing gym. He's trying to go somewhere that's going to give him a bit better, upgrades and stats and stuff like that. He has to learn new moves desperately. Tony Ferguson is talking shit right now, saying you surprised him. I guess it should be nice so you don't back out of the fight like you. Oh, wow, he's just talking shit. I mean, you can say a lot of things about Torture God, but calling him a coward and calling him a punk isn't really one. Torture God basically saying he can't wait to beat the shit out of him.
I'm Megan O'Leary, and this is your UFC Minute. This weekend, we brace for a crucial matchup, which is expected to shake up an entire division. To get into position for a world title shot, this fighter has fought tooth and nail against the best the lightweight division has to offer. And while getting into a #1 contenders match is sweet enough, if this fighter beats his heated rival to earn that shot at the belt, the victory would be even more satisfying. That's it for today. Stay tuned for your next UFC Minute, and I'll see you at the fights.
Alright, thank you, Megan. It is time for the much-anticipated matchup between Tony El Cucuy Ferguson and, of course, the one and only Torture God. I don't know why I made him sound Portuguese. He's definitely not Portuguese. But anyway, the height is pretty much the same. Tony does have a pretty significant reach advantage with 4 inches, and Torture God's definitely going to be up against it here because on the feet, Tony's going to be throwing wild shit. Of course, Torture God, he's not exactly what you would say the most orthodox fighter in the world, but he pretty much limits himself to a head kick and an overhand. But Tony's going to be throwing elbows, he's going to be throwing knees, he's going to be doing pretty much anything he possibly can. And if he goes to the ground, it's going to be, I would just say, a nightmare for Torture God. So he has to watch out for pretty much everything. Oh, and not to mention the clinch, because if he can start getting close, holding Torture God against the fence, and just start pounding him with elbows, then an already ugly face is going to be just the most disgusting thing to ever fucking exist, basically. Tony Ferguson is getting pieced up a little bit here to start off, but that's just kind of to be expected. He's not exactly the best defensive fighter in the world, but there he lands a good combo, and he lands another one. He lands a leg kick, followed by a left hand. Torture God lands another cut. Oh, wow. So basically, Ferguson's just going to stand there and take the shots. He's like, there's no fear. I mean, look at him. He's throwing, but he's pretty much eating everything Torture God throws. In the clinch, Torture God's able to break out, which is very important for him. Ooh, a flying knee, or sort of a flying knee, just like a slightly jumping knee. Bizarre, but Torture God gets rocked. Oh, he goes for another one. He wants to beat the shit out of him. He lands a very fast double jab. I mean, oh my God, Torture God's getting pieced up. I mean, I guess this was to be expected, Like, with all due respect to T-God, Tony Ferguson, he's, in my opinion, the best lightweight in the world. We're going to see very soon in real life what happens when he takes on Khabib Nurmagomedov. But, I mean, Torture God's just getting tortured right now. Like, literally, he's unrecognizable at this point. I mean, he started off his career getting so many knockouts, stuff like that, but right now he's just getting pieced up by pretty much everybody. However, the fight's not over. Oh, my goodness. Torture God rocks him. This is massive for him. He lands another one. Could he go for the finish now? He does. It's over. Torture God. I can't even talk, man. Holy shit. Torture God just finished El Cucuy. Easily the biggest win of his career, and potentially gonna be the biggest win of his career, full stop. This might be the very peak of what he's gonna achieve in his career. I mean, he could still potentially, I guess, be the champion now. Like, he could still fight for a title at this point. I mean, he beat his rival, who of course was one of the top 3 lightweights in the game, so you would assume this could potentially get him a title shot. I mean, Ferguson, he's known for having bad defense, not really bad defense, he has really no interest in defending him because he can pretty much survive anything. And that's kind of his whole game, is letting his opponent get tired. But Torture God, he did not take any chances. Like, we saw him against, I think it was Kabalov, where he allowed him to get up after being on the fence. He did not take he did not allow him that opportunity this time for Ferguson. So, I mean, honestly, guys, like, this is a huge win. This is just massive. So, Torture God is going to get himself a new contract, if I'm not mistaken. And that could potentially throw him up there among the top contenders, which I guess I would assume mean Khabib Nurmagomedov. I would assume mean, of course, the champion Conor McGregor. And I don't know who exactly else is up there. Who are the 2 or 3 guys they're going to throw at him? Maybe it's a shorter one. Anyway, his longevity is down to 27.6. Despite winning pretty quick, he did take a bit of a beating. So T-God isn't quite out of jail there in terms of the longevity. But there it is. God ends Ferguson rivalry with a fantastic victory. I mean, is it really a rivalry if it's one fight? I mean, not really. You know what I mean? It wasn't. I guess it was kind of competitive, but it was an emphatic finish. Megan O'Leary always on that dick, especially after Joe B just lost the other day. So you know she's looking for a new boyfriend. And who's better than the one and only Torture God, who's definitely not the sexiest man in the world, but at least his nose is basically a penis. So there's always that. All right, new contract earned. 37 for show and 40 to win. So basically, if he doesn't win, then he's still making chump change. But he's going to accept it no matter what. He doesn't really care about the money. But let's go ahead and see who. Okay, only one option. It's Khabib Nurmagomedov, who is probably the worst matchup possible for the Torture one.
I've visualized this fight many a time. Every time I see it going the same exact way. There's nothing this man can do to beat Torture God. I'm going to go sprint straight at him. I'm going to land head kicks. I'm gonna throw overhand. I'm gonna beat this man to a bloody pulp. He got no chance by my words. If he even go for a submission, there's no chance in hell he gonna stop me. No way I'm gonna be held on the ground. I'm gonna make this man wish he never entered the octagon with the legendary Torture One. I'm gonna ruin this man. I'm gonna make him regret coming to the States.
And the tail of the tape, ladies and gentlemen, for the huge matchup between Khabib the Eagle Nurmagomedov and the legendary Torture God. The height is exactly the same. T-God has a 2-inch reach advantage, so more or less the same here. It's going to be interesting to see if Torture God can do a better job than he did against Kabalov in terms of keeping the Russian wrestler off of him and potentially landing a devastating shot to end the fight as early as possible, because the longer this goes on, the worse it is for Torture God. Khabib, we have seen, there he goes for a takedown, immediately takes down Torture God. I mean, there was no doubt, right? His takedown defense is just shit. He immediately stops that transition. He goes for body shots on the ground. Brutal shots here. This is unfortunate. I mean, Torture God, he's trying to survive here, but it's not looking good for him. Hammer fist. Khabib is putting it on him. Luckily, though, I mean, I'll give him that. Torture God got through that, but he's still back in full mount. Not where he wants to be, but as long as it's not in side control or side saddle or something like that, and there it is. This is the worst possible scenario. I mean, the cheese from here is pretty much irreversible, especially against a guy like Khabib. And he goes to fucking north-south. He's going for the choke. Going for the north-south choke. Let's see if Torture God can survive here. If he can at least get out of one, that wouldn't be shameful at all. You know, if he loses. But I don't know, man. It doesn't look like it's gonna happen. I mean, Khabib's he's just a master at this. Torture God, it looks like it's over. Oh, he survived. Torture God ends up on top too. Can he stand back up? He does. Oh, and he lands a head kick too. He goes for the ankle pick, does Khabib, and he gets it too. He gets it. Goes straight back into side control, the worst possible position except for side saddle or crucifix. So, and there he goes, straight to base side. He's trying to go for side saddle because that's where he can do the most damage. But he's just putting a beating on Torture God. He pretty much gave everything he had to get out of that submission, and there it is. Khabib just tortured him in brutal fashion. I mean, Torture God said it was going to go. It was only one way it was going to happen. I think we all knew this was pretty much the only way. The only person that's going to be shocked by this is Torture God. But I mean, yeah, just look at this. He took a beating. Even Yamasaki, who loves just super late stoppages, he had no choice but to end it there. But I mean, regardless, Torture God still has an opportunity if he can maybe get a win, and then maybe the game being so broken, he maybe could still get a title shot despite losing 4 of his last 5. He's somehow still in the UFC. I guess knocking out El Cucuy pretty much guarantees he won't be cut anytime soon, but let's not get it twisted. That's another terrible loss for him. Not in terms of who he lost to, but just the beating he took. I mean, the longevity's down to 23%. Megan O'Leary wonders what's next after that, and I mean, there's really only one thing for Torture God to do, and that's pretty much just go out there and still claim that he's the best. Somehow he wants 2 belts, and he still hasn't won 1. Conor McGregor is saying he's not in his league, and he fucking knows it. I mean, Torture God doesn't agree with that. He's going to crush him and take another belt, but let's not get it twisted. Torture God has still never won a belt, so the brain damage has gotten so brutal for him that he's somehow convinced himself that he is the lightweight champion. And he's saying that he wants to fight Conor for a second belt, which means he thinks that he's actually the champion of a different division. Now, we're going to go with Anthony Pettis because, yes, he has some good submissions from the bottom, but more than likely, Torture God, if it stays on the feet, he can actually do something. And it's not the worst matchup in the world. I mean, we've seen pretty much how to beat Anthony Pettis. Now, in the video game, it's not going to be quite the same, but Torture God feels like he has the blueprint to go out there and put on a show and go against somebody who's going to want to stand up and bang with him, as opposed to going on the ground and, I guess, well, banging with him, if you want to put it that way.
Hey everyone, I'm Megan O'Leary, and here's what you need to know for your UFC Minute. It came as a shock to the MMA community when this fighter left his longtime gym recently. But that surprise was nothing compared to the reaction felt around the globe when he agreed to fight his longtime training partner in a compelling matchup that highlights this weekend's UFC card at the Honda Center in Anaheim, California. That's it for today. Stay tuned for your next UFC Minute, and I'll see you at the fights.
And here we go, Anthony Pettis versus Torture God in a fight that could literally, decide whether or not T-God's going to get a title shot. I mean, usually this game is kind of broken like that, where it doesn't matter if you lose your previous fights, as long as you win the rivalry bout or the championship bout, if you get to it, then you should pretty much still get a title shot. They're identical in literally everything. So there's going to be no excuses here if Torture God wins or if Anthony Pettis wins or whatever. There will be no excuses like, oh, he's too physically big. No, none of that shit. Pettis immediately starts off with a weird-ass spin. Didn't really do anything there. Torture God lands a good inside leg kick. Let's see if Torture God can start mixing in a smarter strategy, especially against a guy like Pettis who, stylistically at least, is a lot more favorable than some of his last opponents, especially, of course, Khabib. He lands a good front leg head kick, and he's going for that leg quite a bit. So it's going to be interesting to see if Pettis starts to check him. Duke Rufus, of all people, knows how bad leg kicks can take an effect on your body. So we'll see if Pettis has learned that a little bit in his career. He goes in and he lands a good body kick. Oh, and he lands a good combo. Look at that, a double jab as well. So Pettis is starting to find his rhythm, find his range. But he gets caught by an uppercut and a head kick. You would expect Pettis to be a bit smarter on the feet. Look at that. Torture got another head kick. He's going to let him up because he does know that Pettis is very dangerous submissions from the bottom. He probably wasn't going to finish from there. It was still a bit too early. So he's going to take a chance. If he was against the fence, then there's a bit more of a chance because as soon as they stand up, then he can go get up. He can break out of the clinch immediately. And Anthony Pettis is against the fence. Could this be it? There it is. Torture God was, what? Yeah, that's, of course, his second win as a contender. This could potentially be him getting a title shot. I mean, he definitely doesn't deserve it, but it's hard to argue with the victory over Tony Ferguson and a victory over who the fuck we just beat? He just beat down, Anthony Pettis, duh. Yeah, my brain is mush, guys. My brain is almost as mush as Torture God. So 2 wins like that, especially if maybe Khabib loses to McGregor in a title fight, then it would just kind of make perfect sense to give Torture God that shot. He's the guy who's going to put on a great show against a striker, so there's no threat of Conor being taken down and pummeled. It's going to be a stand-up war, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's Torture God. Everybody loves him. He's beloved by the fans, so he has this one opportunity to fight for a title. If he wins it, good. He maybe can, take on Khabib or something like that. Get himself an opportunity for redemption, defending his title. If not, then see what happens. I mean, it's pretty much just all. I don't really know if it's uphill or down here for Torture God, because at this point, his brain damage is so severe that it's probably almost over. But at the same time, he's got 2 big wins as a contender. Let's see what exactly is happening. His longevity only went down by like less than 1%, so that's good. He made $77,000, which isn't too bad either. So Alexander Volkov is taking notice of Torture God, and he might even want a super fight between a heavyweight and a lightweight. We'll leave that for a different day. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and let me know in the comment section down below if you think Torture God deserves a title shot against the notorious Conor McGregor, or if you think he should just call it a day. And I'll see you in the next episode, guys.